Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Have You Heard? And I'm being a little bit selfish today, and I'm playing a band who between about 1971 and 73 were my favourite band in the UK, just about. Certainly I saw them more often than any other band around that time. The band's name is Lindisfarne, and this is their first album, Nicely Out of Tune. And we're listening to the standout lead track single from this particular album, and it's called Lady Eleanor. Lindisfarne were a folk rock band. Probably viewers from the US don't know them or only know them a little bit. If you are British from my age group, you probably know them very well. And for a couple of years, their stars shone so brightly. And they had a #1 album, that one there, Fog on the Tyne, which was the follow-up to Nicely Out of Tune. They had a #1 single, they had top 10 singles. The song we're listening to today, Lady Eleanor, was originally a single off Nicely Out of Tune, and it didn't do very well. But the follow-up album, Fog on the Tyne, got to #1. Meet Me on the Corner, the lead single, got to #1 in the singles charts. So the label re-released Lady Eleanor, and that got to #3. So they had their moment. They were hugely popular. But we'll talk about it a bit later on, what happened afterwards. But I would urge you, if you don't know Lindisfarne, to give them 5 minutes. Give our video 5 minutes. This is such a lovely song. It was the centerpiece, if you like, of their live show for such a long time. And it deserved its success eventually. So here we go. Lady Eleanor by Lindisfarne.
Sitting lotus on the floor, barely dancing beauty with their power-driven soul. Had my share of nightmares, didn't think there could be much more. Then in walked Roderick Usher with the Lady Eleanor. She tied my eyes with the ribbon of a silken ghostly thread. I gazed with troubled vision on an old four-poster bed, where Eleanor had risen to kiss the neck below my head and bid me come along with her to the land of the dancing dead. But it's all right, Lady Eleanor. With the love and beauty like a mother to a son, like living, dying, seeing, being all rolled into one. Then all at once I heard some music playing in my bones, the same old song I'd heard for years, reminding me of home. But it's all right, Lady Eleanor. human beast's desire. And when it seemed for certain that the screams could get no higher, I heard a voice above the rest screaming, "You're a liar." But it's alright, Lady Eleanor. Alright, Lady Eleanor. I'm alright here in your arms.
Oops. As usual, something goes wrong with my finger. That was so much fun listening to that. In fact, I only played it a few days ago. A very good friend of mine, had gone to see Lindisfarne about 2 weeks ago. They are still playing, although there's only the bass player Rod Clements left in the band, and a good few of them have died, unfortunately. And he went to see them, and gosh, they're in their late 70s. But they got a good reception apparently. But we played this. We listened to the albums and we played it. And he said to me that this is their most proggy song, and I think he's right. Um, they're a folk rock band, really, a kind of not really a good time band, because a lot of their songs were quite mellow and introspective, and that's mainly down to the main singer and songwriter of the band. His name was Alan Hull. They all came from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Lindisfarne is the name of an island, a holy island, just off the northeast coast, and so they're all from Newcastle. And whenever we used to go and see them, we used to see them playing clubs and small venues until they got really big. Um, but they would always have special offers on the famous Newcastle Brown Ale. So we used to get off our heads on Newcastle Brown Ale and sing along with the band and have a really wonderful time. Uh, but yeah, they Alan Hull was the leader, I guess, of the band. He sort of provided the direction, and he was known very shortly after this. He became known as the Geordie Bob Dylan. Now, Geordie is the term for people who come from the northeast of England, from Newcastle specifically. So people called him the Geordie Bob Dylan because his songwriting was so wonderful. He had a great voice, and he knew how to write a decent song. Um, I have these two Lindisfarne albums. I also have his first solo album called Pipe Dream, which is an absolute delight. He passed away a good few years ago, much too early, unfortunately. But the band were really, really good. You'll hear the mandolin on there, and of course, mandolin in the early 70s in UK rock was really popular. And Ray Jackson, who played the mandolin in Lindisfarne, was he was he was hot property. Rod Stewart got him to play on Maggie May, of course, his huge big hit from Every Picture Tells a Story. That mandolin is played by Ray Jackson here. And mandolin was very much a part of the Lindisfarne sound. They had a lovely lead guitarist called Simon Cow, and the rhythm section of Rod Clements, the only surviving member in the band, on bass, and Ray Laidlaw on drums, were really, really tight. Uh, and Rod Clements wrote a few nice songs too. You would have heard it there. And of course, it's really the songwriting and the harmonies that kind of created the Lindisfarne sound. And yeah, for 2 years, from Nicely Out of Tune to Fog on the Tyne, those 2 years where they got to #1, they were selling more records than anybody else in the country. They then released a third album, Dingley Dell, which was very poorly produced and it didn't do that well, and the band kind of disowned it. And from there, I'm afraid it was kind of all downhill. They split into two factions. Alan Hull and Ray Jackson um, kept the name Lindisfarne, and the other three went off and created an offshoot band called Jack the Lad. Um, but neither band reached the heights that they had reached previously. As I say, Alan soon um, kicked Lindisfarne on the head and started a solo career. But he was very much a cult figure, very much a cult singer-songwriter. Everybody who listened to him loved him. But for 2 years they were great, and they gave me some of the best live shows I've ever been to. Some of the most fun I've ever had at any live show. They were superb, so good. They were also on the Charisma label, and of course Genesis were on Charisma as well. But Lindisfarne were a year or two ahead of Genesis in terms of their development. And can you believe it? At the time, Lindisfarne were by far the bigger band than Genesis. They also, Tony Stratton Smith, who founded the Charisma label, had also been the manager of the Nice. He also had Van der Graaf Generator. All you prog heads will know Peter Hamill and Van der Graaf Generator. They were also on the Charisma label, and they would do Charisma tours going around the country. Sometimes Genesis and Lindisfarne and Van der Graaf Generator all kind of sharing a bill. Some of those gigs I hear were absolutely wild. I wasn't a huge Van der Graaf Generator fan. At that time, for me, they were a little bit too out there. So I never went to those gigs, but wherever Lindisfarne were, I was usually there. And an interesting fact about Charisma, just as I'm on a roll, the the logo of the Charisma label started off as a purple or a pink scroll, the famous Charisma label. About 2 years later, they got the fellow who did the Genesis album covers for Nursery Crime and Foxtrot. They got him to do the label inside the record, and it was a caricature of the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, and that became the standard record label for Charisma. And so the pink scrolls have become, I believe, a little bit rare and worth a few bob. And I've got quite a few pink scroll records. My Lindisfarnes, my early Genesis are all pink scroll. I'm trying to think what else I've got, but I should really have a look at the value of them and see if they are worth a few bob or not. We shall see. Do you know Lindisfarne? I'm guessing our English, British viewers know them. In the US, Lady Eleanor got to number 83 when it was re-released. So there was a little bit of interest, I guess, there. But I'd be keen to hear what you think of that particular song if you hadn't heard it before. If you have taken the time to listen to it for the first time, I'm very, very much appreciative. Thank you for doing that. It's always nice to hear new music, and don't forget, this is what we're doing on the channel. We are championing music that is not getting out there. And Lady Eleanor's been reacted to twice on YouTube. That's all. In fact, Lindisfarne as a whole, there's a handful of Lindisfarne reactions, hardly anything else. So if people say that they like this particular song in the comments, I might do another couple of Lindisfarne songs. I mean, just to be selfish, I would do them all the time. uh, but I've got to keep the customers happy, so let's just see what you all think. Yeah, let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the video, give us a like. The likes all help. And perhaps have a look at the playlists that we have linked below and maybe subscribe to the channel. It would be lovely to see you on another video. So there we are. That is Lindisfarne today, the first time we've done them on the channel. Very much a have you heard moment, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Have You Heard, which will be tomorrow, which is Yes Friday, so we'll be doing a Yes song tomorrow. But until then, have a great day. See you soon. Cheers, everybody.